Currently, I'm in a vaccine study and also a device study. I've worked with infectious disease, cardiovascular, metabolism, oncology, and I have experience from, qualification visits to closeout visits on the same study. I've been on a study that spanned 5 years from, the beginning to the end. So yes, it's sometimes some studies are that long, and sometimes some studies are just 1 year. I've been on a study that was shut down because they could not get safety or efficacy established, and so they had to shut down the study. I've been on studies where PI shuts down studies and they said they're doing something different in their life and they shut down studies. I've been on studies where we shut down the site. And all of this experience I've been able to gather because I chose to stay longer with a particular CRO company, and that's called Clinical Research Organizations. So yes, that's my background. While some people choose to go in the path of leadership, like try to be, there are different roles, from a CRA, you either could be a line manager where you mentor CRAs, or you can be a study manager where you manage the studies. So you're the phase between the sponsor and the CRO group. Us as CRA are a liaison between the sponsor and a CRO group, a CRO organization. And pretty much it's like you're an auditor. You're trying to ensure two things: patient safety and data integrity. Patient safety to ensure that, all of the people or patients, subjects being on the trials are being safe. That is, you're ensuring that you're looking at their medical reports, which you're going to look at a lot of medical reports. And you're going to be able to pull out the fact that, okay, did a subject complain about a particular adverse event based on the fact that they're on study trials? Or even if they're not on study trials, but they had an emergency, they complained about something, it's your job to be able to see or bring that out and say, oh, I looked at this medical report and this subject complained this and this and that, and you did not report it, or you did not put it, you're not letting us be aware of the fact that, the subject said I was hospitalized, and that is a major one. So those are things you're going to do as a CRA. You have to hone in your analytical skills. You have to hone in your audit skills in a way. You have to have your critical thinking hat on, and you are also able to, be friends with your site, and at the same time doing your job at that site. So the different things you do as a clinical research is not just the travel. You have your reports to write, you have trainings you need to complete, you have team meetings you do, you have so many different things you do. But the good thing about being a CRA is you can manage your time to your best possible way, knowledge and utilization. So if you're scheduling visits, they give you a window, or this qualification visit has to be completed in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks or in 4 weeks. We have to complete all qualification visits. You have something, you have doctor's appointments, you have your child's school care, you have your child something, you have things you need to do. When you're scheduling your visits, you can schedule around all of those things, which is a beauty. So you don't have to travel at that point in time. And that's one great thing as well. The other one that I like is, even though I travel, it makes you go to places you will never, ever think exist in the United States or probably outside of the country. I've been to the remotest parts of the United States based on my job. And if I call the place, I'm sure nobody has ever, a lot of us has never heard of it. I never heard of that name until I was sent there. And you'll be able to know that, okay, this place exists, and this, so if you're one person that loves to travel, you will love it. And you'll be able to know different places. But the most important thing as a CRA is the fact that you're part of something that is bigger than you. When I read about studies and I see them get approved by the FDA, you're happy that, okay, somebody somewhere down the road who has a particular infection or an ailment has an option to live longer with their family or their loved ones. And that's the most important thing. When COVID came, it was one of my biggest studies that, impacted the world. And I think that time is when a lot of people became aware of what clinical research is and clinical trials and all of those things. It brought this field into a more limelight to every one of us and to a lot of people, and they were able to, because a lot of times I can't explain, even to my kids, sometimes I can't explain what I do. But when COVID came and you're seeing FDA saying, oh, this is going to be approved, or you're seeing emergency use, and you're seeing these different terms and terminologies coming out on social media, everywhere, the news and everything, now you're able to say, okay, this is what I do, and this is where I go to, and this is why I have to do what I do. And like Aiki mentioned earlier about, having empathy, it will make you have empathy towards what you're doing, because you read a lot of medical records, a lot of people's medical records, and you see where they are coming from. And you, especially when you see progress reports of the doctors, and instead of seeing a lot of AEs, and that is called adverse events, which we'll talk about during the study, and you see maybe they had a lot at the beginning, or they had a lot of symptoms for their ailment, and you're looking at their progress reports each time you go for your monitoring visits, and you're seeing that reduce, and you're seeing the patients saying, oh, I feel much better, which is the same way we do when we go to our doctors. When your doctor says, oh, your cholesterol is high, use this medication and do exercise and do all of those things, and you follow those directions. And then maybe 3 months after you do a recheck, your cholesterol level is low, or it's down. You're happy. So it's the same way when you go to your sites, and probably you're discussing, sometimes, most of the time, you really don't know your subject, but somehow you feel you know them. You don't know them physically because you never tend or get to see them. It's just once in a while, you might be at site and they have a visit, and the subject has a visit, and you probably jam them in the hallway, and but you don't know anything about them. You don't even know who that person is, except maybe when they said, oh, maybe you're using a chat, and they said, oh, that subject is around, can we get that chat from you, and things like that. I don't know if I'm oversaying, but I just have to bring it out there. Yes, the money aspect is there, which is fantastic, but the most important thing is knowing you're making a difference in the medical world, in the medical field. That is even more of a greater achievement that I will mention, that I will say is it for me. And also saying that, okay, I'm part of things or people that want something. I think my background is geology, which I studied in Nigeria. And when I came here, I wanted to study pharmacy. And so when I found clinical research, I clicked to it because it was like the front end of pharmacy. The pharmacists are more of the back end. They're like the post clinical trials. Definitely they have all of the symptoms, AEs, and adverse reactions for the medications. And those are the things you collected during your own time as a CRE for that particular medication. So, and this is what the pharmacists now work with, based on the fact that FDA has approved that medication and things like that. I don't know what else you want me to say. If you have any question, you can ask me, or if Akin is going to start the class, then afterwards, then we can do questions and answers at that point in time.
Excellent, excellent, babe. Thank you.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead. Babe.
What happens to when they recall some drugs or something like that?
Most of the recalls is because, you know, we have phase 1 to phase 4 of in clinical research. Phase 1, you know, is within healthy subjects, and that is just to collect, you know, safety and things like that. Phase 2, you're trying to collect safety and efficacy. Phase 3, and in phase 2, phase 1, you are just, it's healthy subjects, people who are healthy. They're just trying to collect safety and see, okay, if we put 10 milligrams in this person's body, how is it going to react and things like that. So usually they use less than 10 and they're in a closed facility. And then once that scales through, they don't have a lot of adverse events, which is all of those things we see at the back of medication. When you take this medication, you're liable to either headaches, you know, seizures and things like that, different depending on what medication it is. Then they move to phase 2 and they have a little more broader people or subjects, which is usually less than 100 in phase 2, a lot less than 100, some less than 50, some less than 20, depending on the study. And then in that phase, they have what they call the endpoints, and usually the endpoint is safety and efficacy. And then after that, they move to phase 3. And phase 3, you have more sites, you have more subjects, you have a lot of, you know, as much as depending, if it's a United States study alone, you know, probably you're looking at probably about 500 subjects or less. But if it's a global study, you're looking over 1,000 subjects and more. So once that trial goes through, depending on how long that trial is going to go for, you know, they're submitting and they're having interim analyses where at different points in time, they are doing check and balance, kind of, I'm using that term for now, check and balance for now to see, okay, and that is being done by, you know, data management, collecting all of these documents. And then you have some bodies that will see it and said, okay, what is the rate at which we have adverse events or serious adverse events? Usually they look at the serious adverse events. And this is when, you know, subject is hospitalized or subject has a congenital issue or things like that, which we will discuss during class when we're talking about safety. We're talking about safety. So even with the fact that phase 3 is almost towards the end of the study and you have subjects 1,000 and more, how many are we in just Texas? And in Texas, maybe we have 2 sites. How many people can come in as research subjects or aware that that study is available? So in general, at that point in time, everybody, during that study, you have what you call, the protocol has what it calls inclusion and exclusion criteria. And the inclusion criteria means you have to have this to be in that study. And the exclusion criteria means if you have this, you cannot be in the study. And that is what the doctors who we call PIs follow to put those subjects in the trials. So after the study has now gone to FDA, you know, they've done all of the interim analysis, database, that is the end of the study. You clean up, you do the closeout visits, you know, they submit to FDA, the FDA goes through whatever they go through. Sometimes FDA will go back to the site and audit the site. And then they find, okay, yeah, you have more pros than cons. every study will definitely have a cone, but if the prones is greater than the prones, if the prones is greater than the cones, then usually, I don't know what FDA is, they have their own determinations to approving drugs, and that drugs get into the market. Now the drug is into the market, you don't have an inclusion criteria, you don't have an exclusion criteria. They just said, oh, the drug causes, gives reliefs to, let me just say, headache. So now the drug is right there in the market. That's post-marketing, which is phase 4. We're still collecting data, and it's usually, sometimes it might be the research organization, sometimes it's just a different body that does post-marketing, things like that. And that's when you see they will take some drugs to the doctors and give them for free for their for their patients, or now it's in the market. So when it comes into the market and they said, okay, this drug causes headache, relieves headache, a lot of people have different underlying issues, which was not addressed during the study, the phase of the study. So maybe the phase of the study says, oh, if you have cardiovascular disease, you cannot use it during the study. Now somebody who has cardiovascular disease, has headache, uses the drugs, which we know will have a lot of people that have cardiovascular issues that are having headaches, and they use the drugs, and now they're probably having seizures, or they're having irritable bowel syndrome, or they're having different kinds of things, like when they bleed excessively. And this situation takes them to the hospital. So when they look at it and they're seeing a lot of complaint, which at the end of the day, there's another kind of parts of clinical research, which they call pharmacovigilance. This pharmacovigilance collect all the safety that is being sent from the emergency, from the doctor's office, and different kinds of things. So once they are collecting all of this data and it's been determined that this drug is the one causing all of these issues for all of these people, and it might not be only the cardiovascular people, there are other people with different underlying ailments that are also experiencing these based on the fact that they use the drugs. And these people were not part of the pool that were included in the study. Usually that is when they recall drugs. Hello?
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Ika, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So usually, because it's hard for anyone that's not been in this field to understand something. So I'm just trying to grasp this. So say, as you work in a company now, do you guys have various tests or various, would I say, clinical studies to do at one time? Or is it that at every point in time you're faced with just one particular one, and then when that one is over, you go on to the next one? And does this kind of keep the person employed? Because if you do a study, you're like, hey, okay, they have one study. Like you said, are there contracts where you can go and then walk away, or you can stay in a company and there are always research because it's a never-ending thing?
Research is a never-ending thing. Like I told you earlier, I stayed on a study for 5 years. And in between that study, that I was on 5 years, it depends on what they call FTE, and that's the percentage of allocation for your job. Everybody's supposed to be on one FTE. That's 100% billable, or usually they'll tell you that they want you to be 99% billable because you're billing the sponsors, and those are the pharmaceutical companies. So they might put you 25.25 on one study and put you 0.25 on another study and put you 0.5 on another study. A lot of times they don't want you to be more than 3 on 3 studies at a particular time. So you might be on an infectious disease study, you might be on a cardiovascular disease study, you might be on a different thing. But the only thing is when they look at what it entails, how often do you have to be on site? How often do you have to, they look at the overall job, what you need to do on site, how much involved the study is. then they will give you that number of sites. If the study is okay, you have to go to sites maybe every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks, and the site is not a high enrolling site, like they have a lot of subjects, it depends. They might say, oh, we just need 0.25 allocation, and maybe that 0.25 allocation is about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sites. But you're not supposed to go to those sites, all 10 sites in 1 month. The visit schedule might say every 5 weeks. So the ones that have started enrolling and the ones that have started monitoring visits are the ones you start visiting first, and then you go like that. And by the time you do your calendar, you just know, oh, this site I need to visit every 5 weeks, that site I need to visit every 5 weeks, and then you're able to, put your travel together. So at no point in time will you ever say, oh, I don't have job to do, because there are other times they just got some studies, projects, like the way they get, say, they awarded a project, they get awarded studies from different sponsors, and they are looking for people who will go and do qualification visits. So if you don't have anything doing, or all your sites are kind of spaced out for their visits, and you're not traveling and you have some downtime, your manager knows about it, or if you've told your manager knows about it, a lot of time they are looking for SWAT CRAs. They call them SWAT CRAs. Oh, come in and just go do QVs for some sites, so that you're billable at that point in time. Those are the times you say, okay, yeah, I have time. I can take 2, 3 QVs, and do them. You're not, that study is not part of your study. All you're just going to train about is what the study is all about. They give you the protocol, they train you on, what you're going to train the sites, what you're going to look at in the sites, and which we're going to talk about in QVs. And you do that, come back, write your report, you're done with that study. But you still have your own study that you're working on. Right now, I have a study. It's a vaccine study. I have only one site, and I'm billing 0.50. I have only just one site, and I'm billing 0.50. And I have another study that I have 10 sites, and I'm billing 0.25. So this the 0.50 has more than 120 subjects at that site. So that's part of it. And then the other one that has 10 sites, I'm just going to go to site once, and then every 12 weeks it's remote. So that's a reason why, they allocate FTEs or things like that. But most of the time, I tell you, you always find something to do. If you're not doing it, you're doing trainings. If you're not doing it, you're doing document reconciliation, you're monitoring your sites with issues, queries, data entry, and a lot of things. You always, when you open your email in the morning, you always find something to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yinka. And I wanted to just add a comment to the larger team. One of the things you should prepare your mind for, all of us mentally, is it's a field that you are self-managing yourself, to be honest. So you would realize nobody's in your business, especially when you're traveling, but there are some fundamentals we expect you to know. Now, despite the fact that nobody's on your business does not mean we don't know your business. I'm going to know if you're working or not, because we've had stories of people that join a field like this, because it can be glamorous if you are very vanity driven, to be honest. You can find out, well, you stay in the best hotel in the world because you are using your corporate card, you eat the best food in the world. You start feeling like you are, Bill Gates, or, what's Tesla guy's name? Elon Musk. Yeah, you start thinking, because you are using a corporate card, free money is good to spend, right? So because you would actually have that kind of mental power if you're not disciplined. Now, the danger is this: because you travel, you earn points, you become a status elite member in your airline, hotel, you feel so sweet and special, right? Does not mean we cannot track what you're doing on site, because the expectation is that when you go for a site visit, you need to still submit reports. The report is what is the reflection of what you did on site. So I remember my wife, when I started this field, she told me two things that changed me, and it made me so efficient and successful at the field. One, she said, always make sure you do your report immediately. So for me, my mantra then was, within 2 days, let me get my report done after every visit. So I made it, because that was my foundation. That was where I knew how to do it, right? Because she always told me that then before I got in, hey, just make sure you do your report twice within 2 days. So even though they gave us a window of, I think, 3 to 5 days or something like that, I was always, by second day, I'm done. That was my thinking. So because of that discipline early, I just carried it along and it made my life easy, because what happened is that once you've done your report, really you've done the core of that visit. That's it. At the point, I remember I was so good at, so you get so good at certain report that when I'm on site, before I catch a flight at the airport or even on site, I would have probably done 50, 60% of the report. So the only few things left will be minor things I would wrap up when I get home, the next day, and I'm done. So you can make your life so efficient. The second thing I think is important is, it sounds funny, but it's so important, is expense report. Expense is one of the biggest disaster. When I was in leadership, the only person I let go in my team was because of expense report. Now, let's put it in perspective. First, I was emotional to this fellow because he and I started the same day. We're friends. So it's, think about it, it's hard to let your friend go, right? But you had no choice, because think about this. The expense is how we have to expense to get reimbursed, right? That's fair enough. And sometimes your travel in a month can be up to $10,000 or 12 or 13. It depends on the city. If you go to San Francisco back to back, maybe 3 times, that can easily incur so much expense. Or you go to Boston Financial Center, which is hotel might be $400, $500 a night, because they are hosting Super Bowl or a major game, and you have to be on site, right? So it gets expensive. In this gentleman's case, for 6 months, he did not do his expense. And they have been warning in between. 6 months, think about it. So potentially we're talking about $70,000, $80,000 of company money tied. So it was revenue issue. But that's the last thing we care. We want to, be our story, right? I'm sharing this to say, God willing, some of us will find ourselves in this world. Those are things, they might look simple, but they can potentially embarrass us. And then, of course, some basic foundational things. And I know most of us will not do stuff like that. We don't play games, don't cook up reports and say, I went to hotel and you didn't go to hotel, and you now put a fake, invoice. Those are ethical character issue, right? So that we can't help anyone. But we would not do that, because those minor things, it's tempting, but those are things that your organization will not even think about. Just, sorry, you have to leave us. So, but beside those, let's focus on the execution and the work itself. Now, as one of our things we do a lot of collaboration in our program. My folks that were in IT with me, they know what I mean. We're going to do a lot of working session. The reason I do this, I'm going to start with one today, and my wife and I will be playing between the two groups. We'll stick into your groups. Let's forget we are doing a training for a second. Nadine, I'll get to you after this, if you don't mind. For a second, let's pretend like we are not even doing a training for a second. And I would ask some questions. The first question is going to be, together, let's think and say, what are some documents that you would typically provide or have within your visit? When you go to a doctor's visit, let's think, I want you all to start writing things that you think are documents you're going for your annual checkup. Tell me some documentation that might be taken when you do annual checkup. Then I'll tell you why I'm making you do that. The second thing I wanted to do is that, what are some kind of documents? First thing I'm saying, generally documents. Out of the documents you highlighted as a team, let me give an example to cheat for you guys. For example, when I go for annual, you have to do lab work, right? So they'll give you lab results. That's a document. So keep that. Then tell me other documents attached to it. The second thing is, tell me some documents that are important to sign and why. Just tell me, I will not give you the answer to that one, but I want us to just think, forget research. The reason I'm making us do that now is that I was thinking about myself when I got into this field, things that confused me. But hopefully I'll save you that stress. Straight to the point. When you talk about it outside of this topic of research, you realize that it's the same document we are looking at even on site. So let's do that as a working session. And what we do in our working session, we break it into like 2 groups. Then Yinka and I will just be playing around the 2 groups and we'll talk to you guys and let's have fun. So just talk, it's a talking session. Don't shy away, we talk a lot here and just give your insights. Let me take the topic again, 2 things. Tell me the kind of documents typically you would have when you go for your normal annual checkup. Then secondly, tell me the kind of document you sign. 1, general document, just give me a list of it. Second one, which ones do you typically sign? All right, let's do that for the next, we'll do it for like 10 minutes, then we'll come back. All right, I'll put us in a group.
Nadine wants to ask something. If we can hear Nadine before we out.
Okay, go ahead, Nadine. Sorry, go ahead, Nadine, please.
No, it's okay. I was just kind of concerned about the site visit. So, like, I want does like all the stages require you to visit the site, or you have stages where you won't be required to go to sites?
Can I jump in before Yinka speak here? Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, and that's why you're in this program, all of those places, we're going to talk about it. All right. We've not touched any of those topics yet, so don't worry. We've not even touched anything yet, to be honest, but we're just easing you into the world of research with basic knowledge, so that sometimes you don't overthink it and realize that, oh, but don't worry. But you can go ahead and answer, if you want to, please.
Okay. Sites are the doctor's offices or hospital. That's what we call sites. So if we're doing a trial that has to do with, what's the easiest one?
Ophthalmology, eye drop.
Yeah, okay, let's say like an eye drop, maybe a basic eye drop for dry eyes. And we're qualifying sites. So we're going to look for opticians or ophthalmologists or in that field. And so in Dallas, think of all of the ophthalmologists that you can imagine. All of the places where you see eye doctor. Maybe let's take all the ones in Walmart that has eye doctors. It's not all the Walmart that has eye doctors, but there are some Walmart that has eye doctors. So look at all of those places. Those doctors' offices are what are in research are called sites. And the doctors are called principal investigators. So one thing I'll probably employ you to do is just go on Google and just say clinical research glossaries. You will find all of these glossaries in different places. There are PDFs and things like that to start, learning what some terms means, and it will make it easier. So that's part of the 1 hour things you will do. You can take advantage of that we ask you for every hour. Maybe today, every day, you look at some of those glossaries, you see PIs, you see sites, you see adverse events, you see serious adverse events, study coordinator, different kinds of terminologies, and the visits, monitoring visits, closeout visits, qualification visits, site initiation visits, all of this terminologies. But basically, the site are the doctor's offices or the hospital if it's a hospital study, and the doctors are called principal investigators. So when you go to your doctor, like your own primary care doctor, if he has research as part of, a side business of his, he has his primary, has a doctor, and then he has research, which some of our, primary doctors do. The research part is called a site. They call them a site. So I go there and I said, I'm I'm coming to your site. Can you schedule me for the next 3-4 months? And we look at dates. So, but when you're going to you see your doctor, you're going to the clinic to see your doctor, or you're going to his practice to see your doctor.
Thank you so much. Nadine, was that helpful?
Now no hard feelings. I wasn't talking about the sites part of it. What I meant was talking towards the job description part of it. Like, how do I put it? Some jobs are completely remote. You won't need to go to sites. So
Okay.
that's what I
It
meant.
depends. It depends. It depends. With post-COVID, which I think we mentioned yesterday, and all of the information sections that was completed. There are on-site visits. On-site visits are still going on. It's not going to go away. There's a lot of remote visits, remote jobs right now. For example, the oncology part of research are still almost 99% remote. They are not allowing you on site.
Okay.
A lot of hospital pharmacies are not allowing you on site to their pharmacy facilities. So even if you're going to do some IP reconciliation that has to be in the hospital, you cannot go in there. And then some sponsors are saying, we want this study to be 80-90% remote. And that is based on budget and things like that. So post-COVID, yes, some sites definitely did not allow, all sites did not. Post-COVID questions, do you allow visitors, CRAs, sponsors, CROs come on site? We asked them during qualification visits, we asked them during site initiation visits, and some of them will say yes, and some of them will say no, we're still not allowing people on site except patients or subjects.
All right. Was I open, Nadine? All right. Please, let's get into the quick.
Oh, we can talk about the afterwards.
No, it's okay. I got it. I get it. It's okay.
Again, we've not talked about, and for the people on the call, don't sweat it because we've not talked about the types of visit yet. So a lot of you don't know what initiation visit is, qualification, closeout, and for the sake of information and knowledge, before we do our group discussion, think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. You have a budget of $1 billion to do a trial. The way funding for COVID, because it's a global pandemic, right? So want to solve, we just want to survive, right? So can you, are you guys, can you hear me, everybody?
Your line is breaking.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of saying, let's say all of us here, amen, we all have $1 billion, right? And all of us will just forget clinical research and want to retire. But let's say we have $1 billion hypothetically, right? Think about it. We need to do a research, right? For something that will change the world. In simple terms, step one, we want to qualify the right sites that can do the research. That's what we're saying. Qualify means we're going to inspect your site, make sure you have the people to do it, and pretty much that's it. The experience to run the trial. That's it. Step two says, all right, we've qualified you. Let's now go ahead and initiate you, start you up to begin the study. Step three says, let's continuously now monitor all the patients you have on the trial, because now we have people participating in your trial. So people like you and I and Inka would start going to the site to visit to make sure the safety of the patient is a priority and the integrity of the data is also spot on. Then finally, step four, it's a no-brainer. Everything will come to an end at some point. We have to closing the study. So that's it. Those are the four typical types of visit. Let me recap. Qualification, I'm checking to see if you qualify to be part of my study. Let me tell you one funny thing about qualification. Qualification is like the honeymoon phase. You see the way the site will just be nice to you. The PI, the doctors will give you their personal information. You can call me directly. You can text me. These are the best in the world. And I'm talking about the biggest institution in the world, the likes of Mayo Clinic, the likes of UCLA, the likes of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, the biggest Cleveland Clinic, the biggest guys in the world. These are clients my wife and I have worked with, right? They are the massive big players in research in the world. They are PI. They would be so into you, give you their personal number when you are doing qualification, right? Because anything you put in their report, that's it for them. If you put in your report, there's a place that will say, do you recommend them? If you say no, that's it. Forget the name, and your managers or PM would not want to. If you say no, they will rely on your judgment because you were the one that went to the site, right? So they would do everything to be nice to you. That's qualification. So let's say they are nice, you qualify them, you recommend them, then we initiate them to say, okay, let them be part of our study, let them start the study. Then once they're part of the study, they're now enrolling subject or patient. The third phase, like I said, we now keep monitoring those patients they've enrolled. Then finally, like everything else, we wrap up the study. That's the fundamental. So having said that, let's quickly go back to the assignments I want us to do. And you will see the reason I'm making us do this assignment. Forget research for a second. Talk about yourself and say, you went to visit your primary care physician. If you don't have one, please make sure you keep doing checkup, all right? Hopefully we all do. So if you go to your primary care physician, think about you as a kid till now. What are all the documents that has ever been asked of you? And I give you an expo. The expo I said is lab result. Tell me everything else. So talk as a team. The second thing is that.
Can I chip in real quick?
Yes. Chip in, please. Yes.
Yeah, I know we are looking at it as documents. For now, let them look at it as procedures. What are all the things, like you get into your doctor's office, you check in. Starting from checking in, what are all the things you do at your doctor's office?
That's a great point. Okay. Yeah, let's use that. That's a better way of doing it. All right, let's say
you sign a lot of documents, you sign some things as well. What are the things you have signed at your doctor's office? Okay, excellent. Okay, let's do that. And let's quickly do that as a group. We'll break out 2 groups. So and everybody listen, please. We're all leaders here. So we're all leaders. So anyone can take initiative. Once we start the group, just roll up. Someone will just, okay, guys, what should we do first? So take a list because you're going to present to us after the 10 minutes. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's quickly do the breakout. And Yinka and I will be stopping by between the breakout sessions real quick. All right, let's do that right. Hello, I'm not sure what's going on with Akin, but okay. Can somebody tell us what are the procedures that you do at your doctor's offices and some of the forms you sign at your doctor's offices when you go for your checkup or for a complaint or things like that, even when you're sick or probably, but you went to see your doctor. Can you please tell us some of the procedures you do and some of the forms you sign? Who wants to go?
Let me try.
Good job.
Okay, so before we get to the doctor, we have to book an appointment. When we get there, they first of all verify if you had an appointment with them, and then they check you for identification, and then they do the COVID screening where you sign your first document, and then they now ask for your insurance, and from there they give you those documents to sign, like the health records, like which has your medical history. You have this HIPAA Act, immunization form, laboratory test. They'll give you some a form that has all these other labs if you have any history about them, and then you now see your doctor. And then from there you reschedule if you have to do a follow-up. Try.
Lovely.
All right. How about procedures? Can somebody tell us all of the procedures you do or you that occurs when you go to your doctor?
Yeah, can I speak?
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
All right. And on our group, I think we talked about the vitals. Like
Mm.
when you come in, they want to check your vitals. They want to know if your BPs, how your BPs, blood pressure, sorry, and then they want to take your weight and then see if you lost weight or if it's the same thing from the last time, and ask a few questions. I guess allergies and all.
Okay. What else do you do? Who else wants to share what else they do at their doctor's offices? Once you have discussed, if there are changes to your medication, if there are changes to your medical health, if you have concerns, after that, what do you do if it's for your physical? If it's for your annual, what else do you do?
Okay, just to check in, not to what Didier said. After the vitals, you moved into another room where you are seated to see the doctor. The doctor comes in, checks, because it's an annual checkup. I just checks your the body and all of that. If there are any worries, the doctor takes note of those worries and concerns raised. And if there is any reason, to schedule for blood works, one is moving into the lab to get that done. After blood works, to tell you your result to be out in maybe 24, 48 hours. If they have the portal that they will tell you to check on the portal and all of that. And, if there are medications, if there are medications to be recommended, the doctor gives out the I don't know what that is called, the pharmacy note or something there. Pick up the pharmacy note and that's it. And I guess at the point of sign out, you're either swiping your card or using your insurance card.
And also scheduling your next visit, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So, and that is typically what a subject goes through when they go to see their doctor. For every study, they have what we call, and we're going to look at it when we look at the protocol called schedule of activities. All of these things we have mentioned are schedule of activities for a study, for the subject in a study. Sometimes they will tell you during this visit, yes, which we'll look at a particular schedule of activity during when we're looking at a protocol. Some visits, they'll say, yes, we're doing the physical examination. We're doing vital signs. We're definitely collecting blood work and things like that. And then at the end of the visit, we're scheduling the next appointment, which is the next visit. So the study might say they have to come on site every month, that is every 4 weeks, and they will give them a grace of probably plus or minus 3 days for that window. And so they come every 4 weeks for 1 year. And at each visit, they have all of those things we have mentioned that we do when we go to our doctor's office. All of these things that we do, that we said are the procedures we do, they write it in either they write it either electronically or they write it in the paper. So those are the kind of, when they ask you what kind of source have you worked with, so you say you've used both paper source and an electronic source. Electronic source, they will give you access, the site will give you access to either Epic or things or whatever EMR they are using. They call it EMR, it's electronic medical records. Or site will tell you we don't have electronic medical records. These are information you'll gather during qualification and recollect when you go to your site initiation visit. So when you're doing your monitoring, you either would have gotten access for your EMR, or when you get there, they give you the big chart that has all of the subject's information. So all of these things, procedures, where they document it is called a source document. So when you ask information, so most of all these times, sites create their own source document. They give you, sometimes the sponsor will give you, a copy of the EDC, that's the electronic data capture. And that is where all of this information they have gathered is different from the EMR. The EDC is where they put this information that you would go to verify. That's why I said you're an auditor. You have to make sure that whatever is in there source document matches what they put in the EDC. And there are times they don't put information from the source document in the EDC. Like if you go there and you told your doctor, oh, I went to see a dentist and the dentist gave me this antibiotics because I had some pain in my teeth. Like I told my other group, sometimes there are some medications in the study that you're not supposed to use. They call them prohibited conmeds. It's called concomitant medications. So if you go to see another doctor and that doctor puts you on this medication, and then you come to your doctor, primary doctor who you're doing the study with, and you tell the doctor, oh, I use this medication, automatically they have to put it into the records, the EDC, that you are using this medication. And also that will ensure data management also catches it to see if it's a prohibited conmed. So those are the things. That's why I said you have to put in your critical on, your analytical on, because there are a lot of things that will be on the source document. That's the subject's medical records or information to provide to the PI or the study coordinator, that most times they do not put it into the EDC, because all of this information about the subject, we need them to ensure that success for that trial. Because if you have an audit and then they catch that the subject was using a prohibited conmed, that's a flag to you and to the site. To you for not catching it, that, oh, when you knew subjects reported that they had a new medication and you looked into the conmed log on the source document and they have it there, you look into the EDC and you did not see it there and you did not query it, they'll put that as a major finding for you. Because if it's a prohibited conmed, it means it's probably clashing or something. And if, God forbid, something happens to the subject and the subject has a major SAE, had to be hospitalized or had an anomaly based on that, that's a huge one. It becomes like a big fight. So, but pretty much all of those information that they put on that chat is your source document for all of those procedures. So it's pretty much what you do at your doctors is what the subject does at the research. So if you look at yourself in research, you're a subject, and all of these procedures are the information the CRA needs to verify the accuracy of the data and also to ensure the safety of the subject. I know there's a lot of information that we're dropping out there, but I tell you, once we get into each topic, it will become simpler, but it's pretty much, your source document is a big one. You're always asking for your subjects. And sometimes they call it chat. Sometimes I will tell them, oh, can I get your source document? And they'll be looking at me like, what's your source document? Okay, can I get your subject chat? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, we can give you the subject chat. So some sites will tell you source document and some sites will tell you subject chat.
And one of the things, just to set expectation, Tim, is the way it's mostly is, because we are not an academic platform. We have one goal. Can we all type? We type a lot. Can we all start by everybody? We have one goal in this program. Can we all type JOB, please? JOB. Can we quickly type it? Everybody, please. We type a lot. If you don't mind, please be gracious. Just type with us. Very important. I want us to type it. It's part of the design of our program. We want to mentally get you into the mode of what the goal is. That's our goal, really. So we're not going to be a conventional way of saying, oh, well, it's not academic, because you don't need to academic, to be honest. You can Google, go online, do all stuff like that. The value I think we bring is our world of experience working in the field towards shaping your thinking to get a job. That's why we started by saying, forget the training for a second. Let's talk like human beings that we've gone through a lot of primary care physicians, a lot of doctors in our life. If you have certain procedure you've done before, if you've done scan of MRI, CT scan, you broke your leg, something happened, you did an X-ray, all of those are source documentation, right? So we just want to keep it human first, because at the end of the day, it's the same thing. I asked a question from one of the groups, and look at the funny thing. The question is this: you have $1 billion to conduct a trial. You're looking for a specialist that has existing patients to help with the trial. That specialist has a unit in his or her office that is focused on research. My question was, where does this specialist get the patient he or she use for research? Don't let's mix it up. The patient most of these specialists use for research. Can we type? Let me see who wants to give it a guess. Where do they get theirs?
I already said it in my
Oh,
in my
you're good.
no,
Okay.
like I mentioned it. I just mentioned it, so they should know.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they were paying attention.
Yeah, let's see. Can you type in the group real quick? Let's see. Can we go ahead? Let's type. The patient, yes. Don't forget, everybody, this is so key. Don't ever mix it up. Don't get it twisted. Any PI I'm using for a study is because I know they have the patient to provide for me. What they typically would do is, let me give an example. I'm looking for a patient for dry eyes. Am I going to go and meet a cardiologist to give me patient for dry eyes, or an oncologist? No, I'm going to go look for an ophthalmologist that has patients that I've visited them for dry eyes. It's simple marketing. It's strictly business for them too. At the end of the day, yes, we are thinking of scientific community and all the fancy good stuff, but ultimately to them too, it's good business. If I'm looking for in specific areas, they use their patient for research because they have the database and all the information to determine specifically the right profile that will fit into the research. And they have a history of those patients from a safety point of view. So the primary care physician or the specialist is already vested to make sure their safety of their patient is a priority. So if it's a study that would hurt their patient, they would not recommend them to be part of the study. But if they look at the study and say, I have a patient that is an oncology patient, and I know that this person has 6 months to live, and there's a trial going on that can extend their life by, let's say, 1 year more, then I would recommend that patient to be part of the study. 99% of the time, the patient will say, yes, they want to be part of it, because their family will say, hey, why not? Let's give it a try. We've tried everything else. So I'm saying that to get your mind in the right place, that's the way it works, right? So anytime we select a site is because we know they have a history of the right patient profile we are looking for. Does that make sense, people? If it makes sense, give me thumbs up, everybody. Again, we use a lot of our icon. Give me thumbs up. Let's go, everybody. Give me thumbs up. There's an icon reaction button. Just go ahead and give me thumbs up if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, ask questions. Let's go. I'm looking at you guys. Let's see if it makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. I can see that. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right, cool. And again, we keep to time a lot. Believe it or not, we've covered some very fundamental background we need to. Tomorrow, we get into the slides of what we want to focus on. We get into some of the academic side of it. We'll do some interactive section also. Our program is very interactive. That's the model for us. So we make sure, as we deal with the topic, we make it interactive. We think about it. And the reason we build this together, my wife and I sat down, we thought through this and said, look, when we were getting into this field, what are some of the things we wished we had known that would have made our life much more efficient and successful? Yinka mentioned also that having a relationship with your site is important, even though you are focused on doing your job for safety of your patient and the integrity of the data. Your people, your personnel skill must be very spot on. Even if your personality is not people personality, you may not care about anybody, but when it comes to work, right, you would, I don't want to use the word fake, induce that passion to be nice. I've seen sites request for CRAs to be changed from their site because those CRAs were jerk. They were people that were not nice, as simple as that. They would speak condescending to the site. Sometimes they would be rude to the site, and people catch those vibes. And if they realize this is not sustainable, they will request for a new CRA. It doesn't mean they'll fire you, they'll just maybe swap you with somebody else and take you off that. And sometimes it's not your problem, it's the problem of the site, and it's okay. Some people may not even like you for no reason. Don't take it personal, and adjust to the style of your study coordinator. We'll talk about all of those tomorrow. You will know who your study coordinator is, what your PIs are, the sponsor's role. We get into all those details tomorrow and get you ready. If you're on this call and you've not taken the GCP training, I'll send the link. Or if you're not in our group, the registered group, please reach out to me after the call, after our meeting today. Then, but tomorrow is going to be when we get into the weeds of it. But what we've done today, don't get it twisted, is we've already started socializing the reality of the field. Because now I'm putting, your mind to understand this is your day-to-day task we've been doing for the past couple of decades of our life, really. Because it's just, I'm calling your attention to it, to say, those are normal visits, like Yinka said, the procedures we go through, that is what your subject would still go through, or the patients participating in these trials will still go through. It's the same thing. So we're just, you and I can be patients or subject for a trial too. I may say, well, my eyes is always itching, I want to be part of this study. And they enroll me as part of the study. So I go for doctor's visit, they take every step like you all listed, it's the same thing. So always remember it's the same thing. And so when you get to the field, God willing soon, you can mentally get yourself ready that, okay, it's the same thing I'm looking for, I'm checking. Don't complicate it. Don't make it anything fancy. It's the same thing. Nothing has changed. A few of you talked about EMR, electronic medical record. A lot of organizations today scan their documentation in those EMR. So you might have heard of Epic and some other competitors out there. Those are EMR systems. Some sites would tell you, we would give you access to the EMR system for 24 hours so that you can take a look at the document you're looking for. After the 24 hours, the access will expire. Whatever the process is, you would align with it. And some sites are old school. They will just give you a bunch of files. They have no EMR. You have to physically look at those files and tag them. Let me pause and let Inka give us some of those recent experience you've seen. Do we have more people going EMR way, or you have a lot of people still using the manual way?
It's both, but post-COVID, definitely a lot of people are doing EMR, or they're doing OneDrive, or they're doing Florence, which is some other kinds of, document sharing or file sharing.
You say Florence, can you type that there? How do you spell
Florence? Florence is just one of those.
I've not heard of that before. Let me see.
So some people use it for their eReg document collection. So you can do all of your document collections for all like an eReg, electronic regulatory documents, for all of your essential documents. So some of them will just add a section or a folder for medical records. So they just scan in a redacted patient's charts in there.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, please, one thing I know, and we keep the time in this program, but don't sweat it. Everything is designed. We know what the areas we want to cover. My ask is, before the class tomorrow, please, everybody must have access to the learning management system. We'll wrap up today with, I'll do a quick demo to show you what the LMS looks like. Give me 1 second, people.
All right, while he's there, I just want to re-emphasize something. We're a small group. Please, I'm emphasizing it because I see the need right now, especially with a lot of remote visits. I want us to be on video. And I know, and the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of these days, especially when it comes to Nigerians, Africans, for interviews, they're hearing a lot of fact that a lot of people are doing interviews for people. So the person who did interview is not the person who resumed. So now they are all your interviews are video, Zoom, Teams, depending on what you want, and it's from day one. They're starting. So apart from the recruiter who wants to talk to you, once it gets to the company, they are doing Zoom for your first interview, and usually the first one is just with one person, and subsequent one might be with 2-3 people, depending on the company. Each company differs. Some of them will just do one interview and that's it. Some of them will do 2 interviews. I have heard people, some do 3 interviews, and they have like multiple people on board asking different questions. So use your time now to be very cognizant of yourself while you're on video, 1, and 2, to be comfortable in front of the video. So let us all use ourselves as our advocate to, the way we dress, the way we look at ourselves on video. And then 2, a lot of the visits are tend to remote, like we mentioned. So your SIVs are remote, sometimes, most times now, and it's video, it's Zoom, it's Teams. So if you don't learn to start being on video right now, you'll be forced to. You eventually use it, but it may probably make your first time very awkward. And so you can start, you need to start learning to be on video. Where are we? So let's be comfortable with ourselves. And one experience I had recently, of course, with my study, I had SIVs and it was all remote. Some days I share my video, some days I don't share my video because it was different. But there was a day I had to step in for a colleague. Her SIV video, she just went off. She lost power and she lost internet. And she was conducting an SIV. And of course, she just had to type because she had her phone. She just had to type on the group chat or the Teams chat for the study. And she was like, I lost power, I lost internet. Can somebody go in right now and continue the SIV? The PI is there, the sponsor is there, and so are the site team. If you're not comfortable, on video, and your team knows that you're online and they looked at you, you're not on site, they expect you to join that video and take over. So those are the things that comes with remote visits these days. You being on site, with your team members, or with a sponsor when they're having a meeting. Because now, if it's remote, then let's do that.
Inka, what's SIV?
Site initiation visit.
Okay.
That's when you open up the site to start enrolling. That's the visit you do, then you open up the site to start enrolling.
And don't worry, by tomorrow, you guys will have a better picture of each one of those terminology. Like I stated, 4 different ones. Qualification is you're qualifying to make sure they have, they have the right resources to participate. Initiation is, okay, let's get them started. We are initiating them. Monitoring is we continuously monitor their progress, the safety of our patients, and the integrity of the data. The 4th one, close out, we close the study. Why do we close studies? Either the study ends, or potentially if there is no enrollment from this site, we might close it. And thirdly, sometimes if there are integrity issue or data issue or protocol deviation, that might trigger a need to close the site. So as simple as that. So this is the tool we're going to be using. Please, everybody, this is so key to us. I need everybody to go in 2 things that are priority for our program to be successful. 1, we all have to do GCP training. So if you're not in our group, you need to be in the group. I'll send you the link to the GCP training. Plan to get that done this week. It's not a whole lot. It's about 4 or 5 hours to be done.
Mr. Akin, sorry, before you go on, the GCP training, sorry to cut you. So if you go on it, I don't know, maybe you just have to educate us on it. I try to, look around and think. You have to fill in some site names, like your company name or something. So that got me very confused. And I said, okay, I'll halt till we come here.
Okay, thank you. That's a good point. So what I've done is to get around it. Most times I just put your personal information there. It will be fine. It will take it. Yeah, most times it will take it. Let me see if I can show you guys real quick. 1 second. Let me see if I can show you, because I've done it myself, but most time I'll just wiggle around it to put some information so that it can allow you to move forward. That's all. So they might ask you, are you sponsor? Are you something? Just put something there to make you move forward, to be able to register. It's nothing for me. But okay, while that's taken care of, let me quickly show you guys. This is what the LMS looks like. Let me see. Please make sure the LMS is a gold mine. Go in and listen to all the lectures. These are 6 different areas: introduction to overview, source data, regulatory documents, different types of meetings, then some best practices. Just go in. It's very fast. One thing I want to call out, please, very important. Anytime you do something, you must click this middle that says complete and continue. If you don't click it, you cannot move forward, because you have to take a quiz after each of our topic. And don't overthink it. It's just simple quiz to test your knowledge. It's not a big deal at all. So make sure you click the middle, complete and continue after the lecture. Please, or else it will not allow you to move forward. This is what the quiz looks like. You answer it. Once you click confirm, you can move to the next one real quick. Easy, straight to the point. Our focus and the value we bring is, we want to focus on experience, real life, so that our own focus is job. So we are just thinking, what are the things you need to be doing on the job, so that when you are doing interview, you can defend it. Your mind is focused on that. That's all we care about. But you must do your part. Go through the lectures. We've taken our time to talk about the lecture. We'll still talk and lecture, but our own focus is going to be more around things you'll be doing on the field. Okay? So please, after this call, if you've not been registered officially, I need you to send me your email. Some of you, we have a personal conversation. I need your email to be able to set you up and get all the details and get you ready before tomorrow. Please, before tomorrow, let's get that done. And we can move forward without any problem. Any other question? Then one more thing. We always give assignments, so be ready. Today, you're fine. From tomorrow, for the week, we have assignment towards the next week. I can tell you up front already, 2 assignments in my head already. We'll meet as a group. The way we broke ourselves to 2 groups, we'll keep those groups. Then we'll give you guys a group project. It will be something very straight to the point, so don't overthink it. Definitely, I would quickly go through that tomorrow morning before Inka runs through the class. We use a site called clinicaltrial.gov. I'll show you guys some things I want us to do as a quick assignment. Then we would expect you to do your GCP training and get through this class also. All right, any questions? Inka, back to you.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but from tomorrow we'll start working on the slides, and we're going to follow the sequence based on the LMS. So if you can go through the LMS recording, so that if you have questions, you can come with your questions as well, or you can send your questions in the chat prior to the beginning of the class tomorrow. Like we mentioned, give yourself at least 1 hour. It works, I tell you. The first time I did research and I went through the training, just like you all are doing, I went through the same training. Of course, it was a one-on-one, and I was driving. Well, my husband was driving at least 1.5 hours every Sunday. That was when the class was holding every Sunday. And we had to go. We had to, at that point in time, not go to church. So I do not want excuses like I have to be in church. God has already told us that we definitely have to do what we need to do and not use him as an excuse not to do what we're supposed to do. You want something, you have to be desperate for it. I was desperate when I entered research. I had a big board where I had my questions after my training. I was doing training, regardless of the fact that Aki trains and he expects the best from people. It has to be an individual. It has to be something personal. He will tell you, "Oh, he did all of those training audits, all of those IT things," and even if I attended the class, I never would do any extra work. I never applied. But when I got into research and I found out, okay, yeah, this is my niche, I took it, with both hands and all I got. And I tell you, I did my interviews, I did all my cheat sheets, like I typed them out in my own words. I don't know if I've spoken this with someone before, probably Nadine or something. And as we're doing the classes, start thinking about how you want to skew how you got into research for your interviews. Start preparing yourself about your words, because if you own it, then the other person interviewing you will see that you own what you're saying, and he's not going to be convinced any other way. And I tell you, the first interview I did was the first job I got. The second time I was going to leave, the first interview I did was was the job I got. And it was a space of, I did interview at 9 o'clock and I got the job at 12 o'clock. And they told me, so it's what you put in, you would get. I tell you, it works. So when we tell you a minimum of 1 hour, do your LMS classes, take your LMS classes, take the quiz, ask your questions. We are your resource for right now. But if you go online, like I mentioned, just type in clinical research associate glossary. It'll bring out a lot of these SIVs and this thing, because you need to start working on those abbreviations and terminologies, because that's one other way, the interviewer will know that you know what you're doing. Like he's not going to expect you to say, "Oh, I did site solicitation visits." That's a long word. He will expect you to say, "Oh, I've done a lot of SIVs." So pretty much, please, let's take this with all we have. And I tell you, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. If this is what you really want, you will get it.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Rebecca.
Thank you very
See you
much.
tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. See you
Thank you
guys
so
tomorrow.
much. See you
Have
all
a nice
tomorrow.
day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.